Hey, church family. I hope you're doing well in the midst of this strange and unique moment in history where the whole world has shut down because of the coronavirus. And if you're amongst those who are having to get out and about, maybe you're having to go to work or to care for others in the midst of all of this, I hope that you're going out with the peace of Christ in your heart and that you know that He is with you always, and may that help soothe some of the frustrations that are likely arising as you go out. And if you're amongst those who are hunkered down and sheltered at home, I hope the same for you, that until this passes, you are not alone in all of this. Jesus is with you always. And to answer the question that is first and foremost on a lot of our church families' mind, no, we are not going to gather for worship on Sunday. And more in just a couple minutes on what our future worship plans are and our future plans for ministry. For right now, though, I gotta tell you, our world's sudden concern with hygiene and cleanliness has reminded me that this is not the first time in history God's people especially have been really concerned about cleanliness and purity. Not to compare you to a Pharisee, but that was the Pharisees' primary concern back in Jesus' day. Leviticus contained an extensive list of guidelines for keeping oneself pure and clean from the world. And the Pharisees took those cleanliness laws and added to them a long list of traditions in hopes that they would stay ritually pure for worship and continue to please God that way. Then along came Jesus, who was far less worried about man-made traditions and far more concerned about obeying the very heart of God's commandments. And so while the Pharisees knew that the law of Moses commanded them to keep separate from unclean items that might make them ritually impure, they stayed away not just from those items, but from people they thought might make them impure and unclean in God's eyes. Jesus, though, reached out to those very people the Pharisees distanced themselves from. And the remarkable thing was, rather than those people's impurity infecting Jesus, His purity and cleanliness infected them. Rather than people's ritual impurity making Jesus impure, His cleanliness and righteousness cleansed them. Well, just in Matthew chapter 9, Jesus dined with known sinners, the very unclean people the Pharisees would have nothing to do with. Jesus raised a girl from the dead by touching her body, something the laws of Leviticus clearly commanded the Pharisees not to do. And when a ritually unclean woman with a chronic bleeding disorder reached out and touched Jesus, Jesus' power not only healed her, but He turned around and commended her for her faith and blessed her with peace. The Pharisees lived in fear that people's uncleanness would spoil their own supposed cleanliness. Jesus, though, lived by faith and love, and no one's uncleanness ever passed to Him. Now, you and I, of course, don't have Jesus' immunity to those diseases He was cleaning, but we do share in His mission, and we do share in His Spirit's love for others. So in this time of national caution, as we all put some distance between ourselves and everything we fear might contaminate us, we're still called to share in Jesus' heart for the world, and we're still called to carry His love to those within our church family and outside our church family. We're still called to care for one another, to look out for one another's needs, and to check in with one another, even over the phone or through text, and to remind one another that none of us is in this alone. I really appreciated Paul Phelps' challenge to us during Family Matters on Worship on Sunday, to use this downtime as an opportunity to reach out to people we might not otherwise have thought to reach out to. And Paul, I'd like to ask Paul if he would to share with us some other ways that we might use this time to carry on the work of the kingdom.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your encouragement. I want you to remember that the world, we might be all doing our part to stave off the spread of the coronavirus, but in no way do we want to stop the spread of our faith. And so it really is. It's a challenging time. But it's really a time, like I said Sunday, to rest, but also to replenish. Maybe to make some new friendships. Restore or maybe even rekindle some old friendships that you just haven't had the time for. Because the truth is, we really do. We need each other. The world needs us showing His love. And we need to be loving one another. And so, I really want us to ramp up what we're doing. Maybe we can do that, like you said, in a text or a phone call or a note. But let me encourage you not to forget your daily Bible reading. Because we're at the end of Hebrews, getting ready to move into Galatians. So if you're behind, go ahead and catch up. I want to encourage you to gather with, I think it's fair to say, trusted friends and family. If you'd like to get together and have a Bible study, or pray, or take communion. Maybe get together and watch the sermon that we'll be putting online for this Sunday. Also, as we're thinking about social distancing, I think we need to remember that just because we're keeping 6 foot away from each other and not gathering in groups over 10, we need to realize ministry, it doesn't shut down. Ministry, it goes on 24/7, just like worship. Just because we can't gather on Sunday morning doesn't mean that we're not worshiping. Doesn't mean that we're not ministering. This afternoon, for example, the youth and others, they're going to be going down to Second Harvest down in Maryville, and they'll be sorting food and doing all kinds of things. Food's going to be more important, they're saying, in the coming days. Also, our recovery ministries. We have 4 recovery ministries here at the church. They're not stopping. And then, Hope Central. Hope Central, I know they're doing everything they can to minister to their families and to look after them and to deliver food. Knox County's delivering food as well. As we think about encouraging one another, our directories, everybody's been wanting a pictorial directory. They're available. You can pick those up in the office. We can have them outside for you. Travel communions. Now, you can go to the kosher aisle at the grocery store, and I don't think there's been a run on grape juice and crackers, but you can go there and pick up your supplies for communion. We have 250 at least travel-sized communions. The wafer is on top, the grape juice is on the bottom. So to make it convenient for you, if you call the office, we can even put them out under the covered entrance for you. Just these are ways that we can continue to worship, to spread our faith, to love others. Really want to point you back now here at the end of our message, just to what's going to happen in the future. Well, that may change, and we'll be updating you. So we want to point you to our Facebook page in particular. You can go to our website. We'll put a link on that, but we want you to go to our Facebook page, and that's where you can find Sunday morning worship. That's where you can see what's happening in our community and what's going on with each and every one of us as we just continue to be the hands and feet of Jesus.
And until we check in again via video or however else, we'll leave you with this blessing from 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you his peace at all times, and in every situation, the Lord be with you all.